Bernhard Tiede II, also known as Bernie Tiede, was born August 2nd, 1958, and he is an American mortician and convicted murderer. Bernie confessed to the shooting of a wealthy 81-year-old widow, Marjorie Nugent, in Carthage, Texas, on November 19, 1996. The murder is the subject of the 2011 film Bernie, directed by Richard Linklater and starring Jack Black. Jack Black played Bernie. Bernie Tiede met Marjorie Nugent in March 1990 at her husband's funeral, with which Bernie helped while assistant director at Hawthorne Funeral Home. The two eventually became inseparable. In 1991, Nugent altered her will and disinherited her son, leaving her entire $10 million estate to Bernie Tiede. By 1993, Bernie left his job to work for Marjorie full-time as her business manager and travel companion. In November 1996, Bernie killed Marjorie by shooting her in the back 4 times with a .22 rifle. He then placed Marjorie's body in a freezer used to store food at her Carthage home. According to the Amarillo Globe News, Nugent's estranged son, Amarillo pathologist Rod Nugent, traveled from Amarillo to Panola County 9 months after her death, where he declared Nugent a missing person. After entering Marjorie's residence, Rod and his daughter found his mother's body in the freezer, wrapped in a white sheet. Bernie Tiede was taken in for questioning, and he admitted to Marjorie's murder in August 1997. Tiede stated that after he murdered, he cleaned the body and placed Nugent in a freezer. After this, Bernie admits he had given gifts to several friends in the town using Marjorie's money, which she had previously given him power of attorney so that he could have access to her funds to pay bills and things for her. A jury sentenced Bernie Tiede to 50 years in prison for Marjorie Nugent's murder. Bernie Tiede appealed his sentence, and the appellate courts ruled that there was sufficient evidence for the jury to have found premeditation. Bernie Tiede filed a post-conviction writ of habeas corpus, in which Bernie Tiede alleged that his constitutional rights were violated in the first trial because of newly discovered evidence. He alleged in the writ that 81-year-old Marjorie Nugent was controlling and emotionally and verbally abusive towards him, driving him to murder her in a dissociative state brought on by years of sexual abuse from his uncle. The Texas Criminal Courts of Appeal approved the writ. According to Marjorie Nugent's estranged son, Rod Nugent, Bernie Tiede alienated Marjorie from her family, friends, and business associates of her late husband. Rod Nugent told the Globe News, "It appears this Bernie Tiede kind of systematically estranged my mother from all these people one at a time. At some point, they became angry with my mother." When interviewed, Panola County, Texas District Attorney Danny Buck Davison said that the town of Carthage was split up in regards to their opinion of Bernie Tiede. Davison told the Longview News Journal, "People remember Bernie Tiede as being really nice and doing nice things, and they'd like my office to go really easy on him. And then there's the other group that wants no mercy." Bernie Tiede was convicted of the murder of Marjorie Nugent and sentenced to life in prison. Rod Nugent filed a wrongful death suit against Bernie Tiede, claiming that Tiede had embezzled more than $3 million from Marjorie Nugent. Shortly after entering the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in 1999, Bernie was attacked by fellow inmates. During his imprisonment, Bernie was described as being a model prisoner. He was teaching health classes and participating in the prison's choir. He had been until May 2014 serving a life sentence. However, District Attorney Danny Buck Davison and a visiting judge, Diane DeVosto of Tyler, Texas, allowed him to be released from his life sentence that month on a $10,000 bond after the appeals attorney for the case, Jody Cole, discovered that Bernie Tiede had been sexually abused as a child for multiple years. Cole alleged that Tiede shot Nugent while in a brief dissociative episode brought on by his abusive relationship with his uncle, a theory backed by forensic psychiatrist Richard Peskioff. It has also been suggested that Bernie Tiede's handwritten confession, which was a major factor in the murder being considered first degree, was heavily influenced by threats of leaking private videotapes of Bernie Tiede. When presented with the new evidence, Davison agreed that had he have known this information in the original trial, he would have sought a lighter sentence. Nugent's family heard about the release through media reports. Her granddaughter expressed shock that the release was granted and claimed that Richard Linklater's 2011 film Bernie had influenced the legal system. The Nugent family created a website to honor Marjorie Nugent's memory, posting photos of her and articles relating to her murder. The resentencing trial began on April 6, 2016. During the resentencing trial, Marjorie Nugent's granddaughter, Shanna Nugent, spoke directly to Bernie, saying, "You are nothing to me." And both Shanna Nugent and Rod Nugent both asserted that Marjorie was, in fact, a good, kind woman and on good terms with her family. And they say that Bernie Tiede just used her for her money and killed her because he had been embezzling money from her and it was about to be discovered. Rod and Shanna Nugent's testimony differs greatly from other witnesses' testimony, such as Gregg County Commissioner Darrell Primo, who testified that in a conversation he had with Marjorie between 1991 and 1996 that she spoke well of Bernie's spending. She stated, "I'll spend every dime of my money before I leave it to my family." And Marjorie's sister, Meryl Rhodes, testified that she was always afraid of her sister, but she always loved her sister in spite of her doing mean, ugly things. On April 22nd, 2016, a jury of 10 women and 2 men deliberated and issued a new sentence of 99 years or life for Bernie Tiede. After 3 weeks of testimony, the jurors deliberated for just over 4 hours. As of 2016, Bernie Tiede resides in the Telford unit of the TDCJ. A week after his resentencing, his lawyers filed an appeal to the court's decision. In June 2016, the 1997 theft charge against Bernie Tiede was dropped. In August 2017, a Texas appeal court upheld the 99-year prison sentence. Bernie Tiede was the subject of a 48 Hours episode titled The Mortician, The Murder, and the Movie. And there's also a 2011 movie called Bernie starring Jack Black.